So Gail, did you attend college, and if not, do you regret not going to college?
No, I did not attend college. And do I regret not going to college? No, I don't. It was an argument between my dad and I, and it was a choice. I danced from the time I was 3 years old. And I knew from the time I was 10, 11 years old that I wanted to be a dancer.
How did you start up your own business and run your own business, the dance studio? How did you get the funds to start that up? And without going to school, did you find yourself ever having difficulties handling any aspect of running your own business?
No, I did not ever find myself with a problem. I started the studios because I had been in show business and I was a dancer when I got married. And of course I wasn't going to travel around the country anymore, so I had 2 children.
Where did you get the funds to start up?
We took a loan
Okay.
through the police department.
Okay.
We took a loan, and my husband and his friends built the studio, the first studio I had.
Do you remember any interest rate on that loan or anything like that financial wise that you can remember how much it was?
No,
Just to
I
see maybe
actually don't
comparison.
remember because it was an automatic deduction
Okay.
from the paycheck.
Okay.
They just took it right out of the check, so we never missed it.
Okay.
Never had to worry about making the payments.
Okay. Go on. So they built the studio.
They built the studio, and it was in Coram. I had it for 15 years. And then my mom had a heart attack, and she was in Massachusetts, and I walked away from the studio, and a friend of mine took it over and bought it. And I went up to Massachusetts with her until she got better, and then we brought her back home here.
Okay.
And then my second studio, then for 6 years, I was a phlebotomist and a medical assistant. Missed dancing too much, and we opened a second studio in Massapequa, of which my husband and all my sons built from scratch. And we had that for 14 years.
Yeah.
Where all my granddaughters came and learned to dance. They did tap, ballet, jazz, hip-hop, they did it all.
That's very true.
So do you still work, and if so, what do you currently do?
I don't have the studio anymore, I sold it, but I do work. I run the front end of a dance competition called Star Power. I've been with them, this will be my 25th year. Even having the studios, when I had them, I still traveled with them we go from February to August, and every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, we are either in a car or a plane. We're in a different state every weekend. And then I'm off from August till February.
So they pay for your transportation,
They
your
pay for
hotel
the
stay,
transportation,
the
our
food,
hotel, the food, everything, yes.
and then they pay you to work there
And then
as
we
well.
get a salary, yes.
Around how much per weekend do you make?
It varies. Roughly about $600.
Okay. Chris, you have any?
I mean, since you've, throughout your life, your energy levels probably, declined. Is it hard for you to work still?
No,
It's not hard.
I have energy. That's something I have never been without.
And you like it?
I love the dance world. That's been my life. I started dancing because they actually told my parents I was going to die. I had a disease. And then they didn't think I'd walk, and I was left with my left foot turned completely facing my right leg.
Do you remember the name of?
No, I never knew. It was kind of like rickets, but the doctor told my mom if they could find a studio that would let me dance, my bones were soft and it would turn my foot out.
And it did.
And Massachusetts, you didn't have that many studios, so they let me go to this one studio twice a week for a half hour. And within 3 years, my foot was completely normal. And I fell in love with dance and never stopped.
Okay.
So we're gonna jump back a long time ago. So do you remember hearing your grandparents describe their lives, and what did they say, and how were they?
No, they didn't talk about it much. My dad's parents, I never knew. They died when I was very young. My mom's parents I lived with because when we lived in Massachusetts, it was a big farmhouse. And my mom and dad and my sisters and brother and I lived up, and my grandparents lived down. I know my grandparents had a tough life growing up, and when the Depression hit, it was even worse for them. My grandmother was born and raised in Nova Scotia, of which I want to go back to one day and find I never knew whether they had brothers or sisters of that, because when we moved to New York, and they still live back there, we used to go back and forth, but my mother had 7 brothers and sisters. And my grandmother, I think, had a sister that she talked about occasionally, but my grandfather, I never knew what he had.
Would you recommend children of our generation to have a big family?
I love a big family, but that's a matter of opinion.
Do you think that, I mean, looking at your mother's family, she had 7 brothers and sisters, and you had several brothers and sisters, and you know, you had several children also. The average family now has 2 children, maximum 3, and that's changed a lot. Do you think that's because of any specific reasons, like more access to birth control, or just changes overall?
More access to birth control is one of the reasons.
Was it easily accessible when you were younger? Is that something that was socially acceptable, or in certain situations like marriage, did you need marital consent?
Well,
if you remember,
it depended on your religion too.
Mm-hmm.
I come from my husband and I were a mixed marriage, where Catholicism didn't believe in birth control. I was Protestant. I strongly believed in it. But I had the 4 kids. I really wanted 6. I wanted to have 5 boys and a girl. My husband wanted to have 2. We had 4.
All right, so you found a happy medium.
But I think a lot of it too, you've got a lot more pressure nowadays. You've got the women are working full time.
Yeah.
They're leaving early in the morning, they're coming home late at night. It's tough.
When you were in school, or when you did go to the doctor, to the gynecologist, was birth control a topic that came up easily? Were you explained, did they explain your different options to you? Was that something that was open in a school environment or open for discussion?
It was open with my mother. Nothing was ever held back. She explained everything to us. Did they talk about it at school? No. And in all honesty, usually back in my day, you went to a gynecologist after you got married.
Right, okay. That makes sense.
So were your parents together all throughout your life?
Yes.
They were together?
Yes.
So what values did they try to instill in you think?
They instilled what I think my husband and I instilled in our boys. Honesty was a big thing. You don't lie, you be honest. Honesty, stealing was against the rules. Do not hurt people deliberately. Be kind. You can be kind you don't have to be a nasty person. And you get a lot more with honey than you do with vinegar.
Clever.
I remember that one. I do, actually. How old did your parents live to be? How many years they were together overall?
My dad was 92 when he died.